Hey there, Alex here at mixinglessons.com. In this video, we're going to have a look at the ratio parameter on a compressor. So what does the ratio do? Well, the ratio determines how much the compressor is going to turn the signal down. So we know from last week's video that anything that gets louder than the threshold will be turned down by the compressor. And I'll leave a link to the video on threshold on the screen and in the description. But just to recap, the threshold sets the point at which anything that gets louder than this point will be turned down by the compressor. And then the ratio determines how much the compressor turns that part of the signal down. So your ratio will look something like this. Here we have a ratio of 3:1, or you could set it at 4:1, 6:1, 2:1. And you'll either be able to dial it in like this, where you can set it to whatever value you want, or sometimes you'll have some sort of predefined options like 3:1, 4:1, 2:1, that sort of thing. So what do these numbers mean? Well, if you had a ratio of 1:1, that would mean that no compression is happening. That's because every 1 decibel that the signal overshoots the threshold, the signal will get 1 decibel louder. So nothing's being turned down. If we had a ratio of 2:1, that means that the part of the signal that's got louder than the threshold is going to be turned down by half. So if the signal went 4 decibels over the threshold, it would be turned down to just 2 decibels louder than the threshold. If the signal went 6 decibels over the threshold, it would be turned down to just 3 decibels above the threshold. If we had a ratio of 3:1, that means that the part of the signal that's got louder than the threshold is going to be turned down to 1/3 of its original level. So if the signal went 6 decibels above the threshold, it would actually only come out of the compressor 2 decibels louder than the threshold. If you have a ratio of 4:1, the part of the signal that overshoots the threshold is going to be turned down to 1/4 of its original level. So if the signal went 8 decibels over the threshold, it would be turned down to just 2 decibels louder than the threshold. If it went over the threshold by 4 decibels, it would come down to 1 decibel louder than the threshold. If it went over the threshold by 2 decibels, it would only be half a decibel louder than the threshold. So the ratio parameter on your compressor lets you control how much the compressor is going to turn the signal down. I really hope you found that useful. If you want to get to grips with compression, if you want to learn how compression works, then be sure to head over to mixinglessons.com/free-downloads and download a copy of my free compression cheat sheet. It'll teach you what each of the parameters on a compressor does, the threshold, ratio, attack, release, and so on, and it'll show you how to get different results from a compressor. So if you want to make a track more punchy, or you want to make a track sound fatter, or you want to balance out the level of signals, it teaches you how to do that. It also comes bundled with a free recording guide and a free EQ cheat sheet as well. Thank you very much for watching. Please feel free to subscribe for future videos. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments, and I'll see you next time.